But you let the whole world lie on it.
I tried.
Did you notice all that stuff just kind of just went away?
Well, it's
like after a while, it just like the lie just went away.
Slandering. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it went away.
So you agreed that it was slander.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was horrendous. It was horrendous.
It was character assassination.
Yeah.
I think that.
So it's okay for me to feel some type of way about it.
Something happened in Pittsburgh on draft night 2025 that nobody in the NFL was ready for. Not the slide, not the prank call, not the fact that a coach's own son picked up the phone and pretended to be an NFL executive just to mess with a kid who was already watching his dreams get passed over. Pick after pick after pick. No, what really happened that night was something much bigger than football. Something the league is still trying to figure out how to respond to. Because Shedeur Sanders didn't just survive the NFL draft. He exposed it. And now, sitting in Cleveland wearing a Browns jersey, playing for a team that passed on him 6 times before finally trading up to get him in the 5th round. He might be in the process of rewriting the entire relationship between a player and the league that's supposed to control him. Let me paint you the picture. Round 1 comes and goes. No Shedeur. Round 2. No Shedeur. Round 3, the Cleveland Browns take Dillon Gabriel. A quarterback. They already have Dillon Gabriel and still no Shedeur. Round 4, they take a running back. A running back. Before Shedeur Sanders. And the whole time, this kid is sitting there, watching. And here's the thing that gets me. The thing that I can't stop thinking about. His reaction wasn't panic. It wasn't tears. When the camera found him on that couch, he looked almost calm. Like he knew something the rest of the room didn't. And maybe he did. Let's back up. Because the story everyone told you about why Shedeur Sanders fell, the one about bad interviews, the one about arrogance, the one about he wasn't that good to begin with, that story is missing something. Something important. The official narrative coming out of team facilities was brutal. One NFL coach, anonymous of course because that's how this works, called his interview the worst he'd ever seen. Said he was entitled. Said, and I'm quoting here, "The biggest thing is he's not that good." Reports leaked that he seemed disinterested meeting with the Giants, that he skipped a media obligation in college, that the whole Sanders family package, Coach Prime, the cameras, the content team, the brand, was too much baggage for any front office to take on. That's what they said. But here's what I keep coming back to. Lamar Jackson, before he won 2 MVP awards and became the most dangerous player in football, teams told him he should switch positions, that he had no shot at playing quarterback in the NFL. Those reports came from the same anonymous sources, through the same back channels, through the same media structure that was now dissecting Shedeur Sanders in 2025. And we now know how that story ended. So the question you have to ask yourself is, when the NFL decides it doesn't like a player's attitude, who exactly is doing the deciding? And what does attitude really mean? Some people look at Shedeur Sanders and see entitlement. A kid who thought his last name would carry him somewhere his talent couldn't. A kid who refused to work out for certain teams, who let his father talk about controlling his destination, who walked into NFL facilities like he was already the star. Those people exist. And they're not entirely wrong to raise the questions. But here's the other way to look at it. Shedeur Sanders walked into the NFL draft having already built something that no rookie had ever built before. $5 to $6 million in nil deals while still in college. Nike, Gatorade, Beats by Dre, Mercedes-Benz, Google, his own brand, SS2 Legendary. A content operation run by his brother Dion Jr., Well-Off Media, that had the exclusive rights to document his life on and off the field, with the reported blessing of Roger Goodell himself. And then, after he got drafted in the 5th round to Cleveland, he negotiated something into his rookie contract that legal scholars are still studying. A clause called Prime Equity, a direct revenue share on every jersey sold, every sponsorship tied to his name, every piece of merchandise that moved because Shedeur Sanders was on the label. His jersey immediately became one of the top-selling in the entire NFL. Top 3, ahead of first-round picks, ahead of players making 10 times his salary. So let me ask you something. If you already have millions of followers, millions in brand deals, your own media company, and a contract clause that pays you every time someone buys your jersey, do you actually need the NFL to be kind to you? Do you need a first-round grade to eat? And if the answer is no, what leverage does the league actually have over you? That's the question that's keeping NFL owners up at night. That's the tension that nobody wants to say out loud. Because the draft system, this beautifully constructed machine where teams control where you go, what you make, how you're introduced to the world, it was built on one fundamental assumption: that the player needs the team more than the team needs the player. That assumption is being stress-tested right now in Cleveland, Ohio. When Shedeur showed up to a post-practice interview after getting benched for a two-point conversion attempt, his own head coach taking the ball out of his hands in a pivotal moment, he didn't explode. He didn't throw anyone under the bus. He gave his coach flowers. He spoke about himself with quiet confidence. He answered one reporter's question entirely through facial expressions and gestures, turning what should have been a controversy into a viral moment that millions of people watched, shared, and talked about for days. That's not an accident. That's a man who understands that the camera is the most powerful thing in any room, and that he controls the camera. The system tried to humble him. He turned every humiliation into content. Now, some fans in Cleveland are fully locked in. They saw the preseason debut, 2 touchdowns, composure, downfield vision, and they believe. They compare his arrival to LeBron James walking into Cleveland in 2003. They talk about the Shedeur effect, the way people used to talk about stadium energy shifting when a franchise cornerstone shows up. Others are skeptical, and honestly, the numbers back the skeptics up. When Shedeur finally got extended playing time in the regular season, the stats were rough. 56% completion rate, 7 touchdowns against 10 interceptions, a passer rating that put him in the bottom 5 of qualifying quarterbacks in the entire league. That's not a franchise quarterback. Not yet, maybe not ever. But here's the thing about that argument. Here's why it misses the point. Dillon Gabriel is on this roster. Deshaun Watson is still floating somewhere in the background, rehabbing an Achilles, collecting his fully guaranteed contract, a ghost haunting a franchise that spent 3 years trying to make him work. The Browns are going into 2026 with 2 first-round draft picks and a quarterback room that needs to be rebuilt. The future of this franchise is genuinely uncertain. The kind of uncertain that keeps a city up at night. And somewhere in that uncertainty, Shedeur Sanders is already positioned, already building, already talking not through press conferences but through content, through culture, through a brand infrastructure that exists completely outside of anything the Cleveland Browns organization controls. That's what nobody fully understands yet. That's what makes this different from every other QB controversy you've watched in Cleveland, and believe me, you've watched a lot of them. When Deshaun Watson struggled, the Browns controlled the narrative because they owned Watson's image, his platform, his access. They decided when he spoke, who he spoke to, what story got told about him. Shedeur Sanders' story is being told by Shedeur Sanders. His brother's cameras are in the building. His brand partners are watching every snap. His social media moves faster than any Browns press release could ever hope to. And if the franchise tries to push him out, benches him for Dillon Gabriel or cuts him loose entirely, he doesn't disappear into obscurity. He becomes the story. He becomes the martyred quarterback the internet rallies behind. He becomes possibly more powerful outside Cleveland than inside it. The system punished him with a 5th-round pick. He accepted the punishment, jumped in a pool, said, "Thank you, God," and started selling jerseys. Now we're in 2026. The Browns hold the 6th overall pick in the upcoming draft. They have 2 first-rounders. Todd Monken is calling plays. And somewhere in that building on the lakefront, a conversation is happening that nobody is putting on the record. Is Shedeur Sanders the future of this franchise? Or is he the most culturally significant backup quarterback in NFL history? And what happens if those 2 things aren't mutually exclusive? Because here's what I keep returning to. The league has never seen a player build this kind of leverage before a single regular season snap. The NIL era created athletes who think like CEOs before they ever sign a professional contract. The media ecosystem Shedeur built doesn't care whether he's a starter or a backup. It runs either way. The brand doesn't need a ring to stay relevant. So the real question, the one this whole saga has been circling without ever quite landing on, isn't whether Shedeur Sanders is good enough to start in the NFL. The real question is, what happens when a player doesn't need the system to survive anymore? What happens when the player's value to the culture is completely untethered from whether a coach decides to put him in the game? Because if the answer is what I think it is, if players like Shedeur are the beginning of something, not the end, then the NFL's power structure is about to be tested in a way it has never been tested before. And we're watching it happen right here in Cleveland. I don't know how this ends. Neither does Shedeur. Neither does Andrew Berry or Jimmy Haslam or anyone else in that building. But I know this. The clock is running. And the league is on Shedeur's time now. If this video got you thinking, drop a comment below. I want to know where you land on this. And if you're not already part of Brown's Breakout, hit subscribe. We're just getting started.